Hi guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing okay. Welcome to another video lesson. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Bonham triplet. So let's go grab our sticks and let's go do this. Okay, before we get started, let's just talk real quick about who John Bonham was. John Bonham was the drummer for Led Zeppelin. If you're not familiar with any of Led Zeppelin's work or John Bonham, pause this video right now and go and check him out. I would recommend Led Zeppelin 2 and Led Zeppelin 4 to get you started. Yes, their first 4 albums were called Led Zeppelin 1, 2, 3 and 4. Well worth a listen, well worth a watch if you can find some video footage of Bonham and Zeppelin playing live as well. Absolutely fantastic. One of the all-time great drummers. You cannot not know who this guy was. There are very few drummers that can claim to have something named after them. John Bonham is one such drummer. It's called the Bonham triplet. You sometimes hear it referred to as the Bonham lick, the Bonham fill, any words like that. We're talking about the same thing. We're talking about a linear triplet pattern. Linear, remember, one thing at a time that has to include the foot. Bonham didn't invent this, he just made it famous. He used it an awful lot and it's become synonymous with him and how he played it with Led Zeppelin. Check out tracks like Dazed to Confused, where he plays this riff at about 190, I think, from memory, which is insanely fast. He did it in lots of different ways. He used lots of different sticking patterns and combinations, and it's been interpreted in a number of different ways. I'm going to show you 2 ways to get you started with the Bonham lick and linear triplets, and you can take it from there. Right, so we're going to kick off with a foot, right, left pattern. Left is other way around for you, foot, left, right. If I forget to mention the left hand is sticking through the course of this video, I apologise. Just reverse all of the sticking patterns, and obviously the foot is always going to be your left foot for the bass drum. Right-handers, right foot, right hand, left hand. I'm going to run this round at 70 beats per minute for a bar, just go round and round and round. If you can join in straight away, great, do. If you need to pause the video and spend some time practicing the pattern on your own and build up the speed, that's fine. Come back and join me when you're ready. So now I'm going to turn that pattern round. I'm going to play right, left, foot. So I'm going to put the bass drum at the back or the end of the triplet rather than the beginning. I prefer this way, I have to say, although I think it is slightly trickier because the bass drum now doesn't land on 1, 2, 3 and 4. Again, I'm going to play it for a bar, I'm going to run it round, 70 beats per minute. Join in when you're ready. Here we go. Now let's look at an orchestration for the 2 patterns we've been studying. So the first pattern, foot, right, left, where the bass drum was at the beginning. We're going to go foot, right, left on the snare drum. Then we're going to play the next 2 triplets, tom 3 and tom 1. And then for the final triplet, we're going to head back to the snare drum and play it there and finish the fill. So it's like a tom sandwich, if you will. We've got snare, toms, and then snare again. Bonham used to move around. He used to start on tom 3 or tom 1. He used to vary the sticking pattern, which is something we'll tackle on a different lesson. But he used to change where he started. We're going to keep it the same all the way through. So we're going to go snare, tom 3, tom 1, tom 3, tom 1, and then back to the snare drum. That was a lot of talking for a very simple explanation. Let me show you how it works. So same orchestration, but with the second pattern this time. So it's going to be right, left, foot, and we'll keep the order the same. Snare, across to the toms, and back to the snare to finish. Here we go. You must know what's coming next, guys. Yes, it's a 3-1 resolve. Notice, however, though, that we're not using a triplet groove to go with our triplet fill. We're using a quaver groove and a triplet fill. So we're mixing our note values. We've got halves for the quavers, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and thirds for the triplets, 1 tita, 2 tita, or 1 triplet, 2 triplet. However you want to count your triplets is fine. The timing of this is quite tricky. You can just count it the way I just said, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then 1 tita, 2 tita, and if that works for you, great, carry on. You might find it difficult with the timing though, jumping from one note value to another. There is one thing that stays the same all the way through this, and that's the pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through. It's the one thing that all note values have in common. Try counting just the pulse. See if that helps keeping the speed of the groove and the fill the same. I'm going to do this at 70 beats per minute again. Feel free to stop the video and slow it down and work on it a bit slower than that if you need to, and come back and join me when you're ready. Here we go. Same thing again, but with the other sticking pattern, so right, left foot this time. Here we go. If you're up for a challenge, try changing the orchestration and/or the sticking. The two are often connected anyway. I alluded to this earlier, saying that Bonham often used to start on tom 1. Well, you'd have to start with a different hand if you wanted to avoid awkward stick crossing if you played it that way around. Have a go, see what happens. Does it sound better in different places? Do you need to change the stickings to achieve that? Do you want to just put it in a different place because you prefer the sound? That's fine. This is Bonham's fill, but we want to make it our own. We want to put our own slant on it. So feel free to mess with it, change it, move it around, see what you can come up with. The most important thing with linear triplets is keeping them all nice and even. So what are the applications for what we've been looking at today? Well, firstly, I would say it's important to study the greats. John Bonham definitely qualifies as one of those. This is his lick, his fill that he made famous, and it's been copied and emulated and used forever, it seems like now. It's well worth knowing and understanding where it came from. It's also really important to make this fill yours. You will not be the first person to try this fill. You will not be the first person to try and emulate the great John Bonham, and that's fine. That's not a problem at all. But we don't want another John Bonham. We've already had one of those. We want lots of individuals who are bringing something new to the instrument. So experiment. Have a go at messing around with it. I've already talked about it briefly earlier. Change the sticking, change the orchestration. We've looked at bass drums at the beginning of the triplet and at the end of the triplet. What happens if you stick them in the middle? Don't just take my word for it. Have some fun with this. See how far you can take it. So what have we learned today? Well, we've learnt about John Bonham, one of the greatest rock drummers of all time, played for Led Zeppelin, absolutely phenomenal. We looked at linear triplets, which are often attributed to Bonham. That's one thing at a time, that includes the foot. We looked at moving that foot around, so we put it at the beginning of the triplet and at the end of the triplet. We also looked at orchestrating those triplets around the drum kit a little bit as well. We looked at combining a triplet fill with a quaver groove, so mixing our note values and mixing our different types of grooves and fills together. So that's it for today's lesson on the Bonham triplet. I hope you enjoyed that. If you've got any questions, feel free to get in touch. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment down below. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Take care, guys, and enjoy your drumming.